Welcome to Mishna study. We're up to Masechet Demai, Perek Bet, Mishnah Bet. Over here, we're going to move on to a topic of who is considered an iman, a trusted person, right? So we know if we buy something from an Am Haaretz, right, from someone who is quote unquote an Am Haaretz, he's not trusted, and we need to separate anything, or right, separate the Trumat Ma'aser from anything that we buy from, because we assume everything is Demai. Right? We assume that he didn't separate the appropriate ma'asrot. Well, if you buy fruits from someone who is trusted, who's ne'eman, right? You buy it from let's say, this person, Tamil Hacham, is someone who always separates his turumot and ma'asrot, right? Now you buy it from him. Do you assume that that's demai? No, we don't assume that's demai. So now we're going to deal with in our Mishnah of who could be considered a trusted person, who's not an Am Haaretz. Right? And how do you reach the status of not being an Am Haaretz when it comes to Turumot Ma'asrot? Hamkabel alav liot ne'eman, me'aser et shu ochel, ve'et shu mocher, ve'et shu lokeach. Ve'eno mitareach etzel ha'ma'aretz. Rabbi Yehuda omer, hamitareach etzel ha'ma'aretz ne'eman. Amru lo, al atzmo eno ne'eman, ketzad yeh ne'eman al shlach ha'irim. So first of all, if someone accepts upon himself to become ne'eman, right? Ne'eman meaning trusted for Turumot, Ma'asrot, right? Where we're going to trust him now going forward to say, if he said this is me'usar, right? This is something that I took ma'aser from, or this is something I didn't take ma'aser from, he's always going to be trusted. We're not going to consider his fruits demai, right? So at what point does he have the status, the name of a ne'eman, a trusted person, right? So what does he need to do? He needs to, firstly, he has to separate ma'aser from anything that he eats. He needs to separate from anything that he sells, and need to separate ma'aser from anything that he buys. Those three, plus he's not allowed to be a guest by another Am Haaretz's house, right? He can't go and eat and drink by that person's house, because if he's eating and drinking there, right, then we're assuming that he's eating something that's not meusar, that's demai, right? So if he wants to be trusted, he can't even eat by an Am Haaretz's house. It's those four things. Now Rabbi Yehuda comes and says he's allowed to go ahead and eat by an Am Haaretz's house. Even if he does, he's still considered ne'eman, he's still considered trusted, right? He's trusted to say that I didn't eat anything that wasn't meusar. I made sure that I separated all turumot and ma'asrot before I ate something at this Am Haaretz's house. We trust him for that. Chachamim responded, he's not trusted for himself, meaning what? He is someone who's nogea be'eduto. He's someone who's actually he's touching upon his own testimony. He's not trusted because he's the one testifying about himself. You can't testify about yourself. So he's testifying about himself. So that testimony is not accepted, right? So how is he going, if that testimony is not accepted about himself, how is he going to testify about others? How can we trust him? How can we rely on his words to say that this is me'usar, that this is something that was that all Turumot Ma'asrot were taken from it? So being that we can't rely on his words, Hamim say over here he's not trusted and he's not allowed to eat it by Am Haaretz, and rather we need those four things. Like we said, he needs to separate ma'aser from anything he eats, anything he buys, anything he sells, anything he buys, and he's not allowed to eat by an Am Haaretz's house.